Okay. Hi, everyone. So welcome back. And so last Friday we have exam 1, and I have already given you back the exam. This week we're gonna talk about session 3.7, 1.7, and 4.1. And this week you don't have any quiz, but please keep up with your homework. Okay? So for all the homework assignments, even though the due date has passed, but you can also keep doing it to improve your score. Right, everybody? And after you finish your homework, you can click submit, and then you can click the view detail to print as a PDF so you can study later. Okay, so you print as a PDF, and then you see the solutions of all the problems. All right. So this exam, okay. Hi, come here and pick up your exam. Are you Drake? Yes? Yeah?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so this is our course website. Do you see this is practice exam 1 and the practice exam solutions? Hi, what's your name? Here. You're welcome. Okay, and I have already posted the exam 1 solution and exam 1 scores and exam 1 common mistakes. So if you click the solution, then you can see our exam solution. So I want to compare with you. On your left hand side, this is our practice exam solution. On your right hand side, this is our exam solution. Let's take a look on both exam and practice exams. The first problem, right? The first problem. This is a practice exam. It was given a graph, right? This is the exam. The graph is also given. And we want to ask the domain, the range, and evaluate some points. Okay? And we want to ask what interval is the function increasing or decreasing, and then find relative maximum and minimum values. Do you see those two exams are very similar? Yes? Keep going. Second problem. On the practice exam, I gave you x cubed as the parent function. And on our actual exam, this is square root. Okay. Math move. What's line? Parabola, x squared. Okay? Everybody move your hand. Parabola, x squared. X cubed. Like that, right? And square root. Yeah, like that. Cube root. Like that. Right? So I told you in the Excel, I will ask you one of the type. Okay? And if you forget the shape, it's okay. You can plug points, right? Plug in 0 and see what you get. Plug in 1, see what you get. And you try to plug integer points. So this is the practice exam. This is the actual exam. But the steps are very, very similar. We follow the order. What's the first one? Level right. Second one, we fraction over the y-axis. The third one, we fraction over the x-axis. And vertical stretch, right? The last one, shift up and down, right? Okay, so the order, that's the order of transformations. And then next problem. See? Next problem. I gave you, so your exam problem, I only asked you one question. The practice exam, I asked you both. But because you don't know which one I'm going to ask you, right? This is parallel. This is perpendicular. On the exam, I asked you perpendicular. But do you see it's very similar? I changed the number of the lines and coefficients. with the solution process, I would say. Okay, so that's the practice exam, that's the actual exam. Next problem. You see, I gave you F and G and asked you to find the composition. Hi, have a seat. Is your exam? Alright. Yes, so this is composition. This is not multiplication. This little circle means F composite G. That means F of G of X. So you figure out, oh, you plug in F of G of X, and this is composition function. And remember for domain, you check two things. The first one, do you see a square root? If yes, then we need the things inside the square root to be greater or equal to 0. Okay? Do you see a fraction? Yes. Then we need a fraction. The denominator is not 0. Right, everybody? Do you see the steps? Are quite similar? Yes. So the next one. Next problem. This is solving the equation involving absolute value, right? So the step, you put a line there. On your left-hand side, you kind of just get rid of the absolute value. The right-hand side, you replace the absolute value by negative of whatever inside the absolute value. Okay? And then what do? You get a quadratic equations. So you move all the terms on one hand side, and then you either do the factoring or use quadratic formula. Okay? So after you find some roots, you need to check the roots. Okay? So the roots are really solution to the differential. Let's see. What's your name? Right. Okay, and then next problem. Solving the equation involving rational expressions. The first step, write down the least common denominator. Yeah? And then you can multiply both sides by the least common denominator to get rid of all the denominator. And then solve for x. And then you finally check if this is in the domain. Okay? So the steps are very similar. Okay. And the type of questions are the same, right? And next one. Okay, so this is the assignment sheet. And please try your best to come here on time. So our class starts at 12:50. And last time I give you a survey, and I just realized only 4 of you have class before us. So which means the other students, please try your best to come here on time. Okay? You don't want to miss something. And yeah, so here we have, what do? We have inequality with absolute value. We isolate the absolute value term, right? And then we break it. So this is, if the distance is big, then we have outside. Outside means, well, in this case, it was less than, this is a practice exam. This is our actual exam, right? Our distance is big. How big? Either less than or equal to negative 11/5 or greater than or equal to 11/5. Okay. Question. Oh, okay. Please question. Okay. And then next one. Complex. So evaluate and simplify. Yeah, this one could be a little bit different because we have different type of problems involving complex numbers. The one we did in the practice exam, we rationalize the complex numbers and then we combine them and simplify it. This one, our actual exam, you can actually multiply them out. And so this is what you get after you multiply them out. And then based on this denominator, we can multiply by its conjugate, right, to carry out the complex number in the denominator. So this is our final answer. Okay, next one. Next one, solving quadratic equations. Use the quadratic formula. Okay. Hi, what's your name?
Juliana.
Juliana. You go. All right. And do you see the solution process are the same, right? You write down the standard form. Use the formula for H and the K. Then you can write down the standard form and you figure out the vertex and the axis. So all the problems I asked you in the actual exam, they were in the practice exam. Okay? So yeah, this problem. Yeah, this problem I didn't ask you for the actual exams. And then this one, similar, right? You find the x-intercept, and then the y-intercept, you plug in at x is 0 to find the y-intercept. And then you find the leading coefficient. If it's positive, start with the right upper corner. If it's negative, start with the right lower corner. And depends on the multiplicity is even or odd. Even, bounce up. Odd, cross it. And you write down the ending. Okay, everybody? So you see how similar the practice exam and the actual exam? And this is the last problem. You figure out the critical numbers. And you base on the factor is in the numerator, then you put a solid circle. If it's in the denominator, you put open circle. That is because this is less than or equal, right? And then you figure out the leading coefficient. Figure the leading coefficient, and then you draw it. Because we're looking for positive. So that's why minus infinity, because this one is not missing, so just keep going until you reach negative 1/5. Parentheses, because this point is not included. Union, negative 1/5, up to 4/9. Brackets, because we want to include the endpoints. And then here, 3/2, parentheses, because it's open circle, up to infinity. Can you see how similar the actual exam and the practice exams? Now let me show you our scores. Okay, so this is our scores. The highest is 96. The lowest is 6. We have 2 students didn't take the exam, so 2 zeros. But yeah, among the students who took the exam, the lowest is 6. Average is 53.64. We have 5 students get A, 1 student get B, 3 students get C, and 3 students get D, and 20 students get F. 20. 2/3 of the class get an F. Okay. And now, I also so this is the scores. Of course, no names, okay? So the scores. Let's see the homework average. Okay, so this is the higher, like 90, above 90, and 80. Do you see all of them did the homework and get a high homework average? And the student didn't do well on the exam, get also low homework average. So can you trust me? Doing your homework is very important. Okay? Look at this picture. This is a practice exam. Look at the student get about 74. Do you see all of them did the practice exam? Look at the student get lower than 44. What do you see? Didn't do the practice exams. Can you trust me doing the practice exam is very important and useful? Can you trust me that? I believe you can do much better if you do your homework, do your quiz, and do the practice exams, and make sure you check your answers with the solution. See, in the solution, I try to write all the details. Okay? And if you have questions, come to ask me questions. Right? You either come to my office hours or you can email me. Okay? So try your best to study. And I also talked to other instructors who teach this course. So Precalculus, we have 3 sessions. So one session by Professor Heaven, and the other by Professor Udita, and we have like similar scores. Okay, so I would say, because all of you are freshmen, you are still getting used to the college. Please take notes. Take notes. Okay, and sometimes if you cannot like follow everything in the class, you don't forget that we have the recording. So remember recording, we have go to Blackboard and then go to TED Live. So this is our course. Go to TED Live and click the menu, and then you can see all the recordings. So those are the recordings. Okay, so my suggestion is please take notes. If you miss some notes in the class, you can go to our website. See our website. Thank you. So here we have the blank notes, and then here we have the notes with answers. So if you miss some notes, please write down the notes at home. Okay? And sometimes if you don't understand, if in class you have questions, raise your hand and tell me. And then if you have questions later at home, or maybe when you take notes, some steps you don't understand, you can put a question mark next to it and then ask me later. Okay? Don't say, oh, I don't understand. I don't want to write anything because I don't understand. No! Please still write down the notes. And each step you don't understand, you ask me later. So don't give up. Okay? I know many of you might say, okay, I'm not good at math. So math is really practice. Practice a lot and a lot. You see the type of practice problems. I told you what type of problems are on the exam, right? You can use the practice exam as the study guide. Do one time is not enough. Do 10 problems on the same time. Yeah, practice a lot and a lot and a lot. Then you can do it. I trust you can do it. Okay? So next time, do the practice exams. And I can tell you, some of my students, they not only do the practice exam one time, they do it 3 times. So they tell me they do it one time, like 1 week before the exam. Okay? And then they know, okay, what kind of problems are going to be on the exam. Then they can review the notes, review the homework, and the reset. And then 2 days before the exam, they do the practice exam one more time to make sure they can remember the steps of the solution process. Okay? And then the night before the exam, they do the 3rd time. So please do your practice exam 3 times. Okay? So practice a lot and a lot. So at least you know what are the steps of solving it. And I try to write everything down. I'm not just saying it to you. For the important points, see, I try to write it down. So if you don't remember, you can review the notes and like summarize the steps. What are we doing? When we see this inequality with absolute value, what do we need to do? So here are the steps. Isolate the absolute value, okay? And then break the absolute value. And depends on the distance is small. Small means it's bounded between a and minus a. Big, outside this range. So x is less than a, or x less than negative a, or x is greater than a. So I try to write down the steps. It's like, oh, we're gonna do some cooking, right? We want to cook beef and broccoli. So how do we cook it? We need some ingredients. We need broccoli and beef, obvious, right? And maybe the first step, okay, you slice the beef, right? Put some soy sauce and sugar to marinate it, and then broccoli, slice them, and maybe, yeah. So we have this recipe. This is like the recipe. the steps. What are we doing in the first step, second step, and third steps? Okay? And so I try to like provide the recipe. And then next time I ask you to cook chicken and broccoli. So maybe similar to beef and broccoli. You just replace beef by chicken, right? But it's similar. Okay. So I want to provide as many resources as you need, and then you do the practice. Okay, I'm also like a cook. I cook this food for you, and I hope it's yummy. But you still need to eat the food and digest. Otherwise, you won't get the nutrition because you're hungry. Right? So I'm the cook. You're gonna eat the food. Okay. So tell me how I can do to make the food taste more yummy. Okay, so that is the exam scores. Can you promise me next time you will do the practice exam? Yes. And also, don't forget our grades. So how do we calculate our grades? Homework, 5%. So homework, you can do more and more and more to improve your scores, right? So I hope you can get a higher homework average. So if you work hard and do your homework multiple times, ask me questions, and don't forget when you submit the first attempt, for the problem you get wrong, you can look at the solution. And then when you open a second attempt, you can look at the solution, and maybe the second attempt, the Mobius will change some numbers, so you can try the new problem, right? So in that way, you can improve your score. The quiz is 5%. Self-assessment, 5%. Self-assessment, we have the practice exam. That is 10 points, okay? So for those of you who didn't submit your practice exam, you can still submit it now, right? So please do it. That's 10 points. So first use your pencil to finish your work. And then use red pen to grade your work. Also estimate the total score. Okay? Missing correction, you will lose 4 points. Missing the total estimate score, you will lose 1 point. Okay? So that's 10 points for the practice exam. You do it, then you can earn the 10 points. So you can still submit your practice exam. And exam correction and record. So I have already posted the exam solution. So what you need to do is use red pen or other color pens. Next to your mistake, write down the correction. Or if you ran out of space, you can write down your corrections on another piece of paper. Okay, everybody? In that way, you know what's the mistake and what is the correct way to solve this problem. Okay? Exam correction is 5 points. And then exam wrapper. So exam wrapper right here is a survey, okay? So exam wrapper, this is like a survey to ask you, how did you study for the exam, okay? And what mistake did you make on the exam that taught you something? And based on your mistake, what will you do differently to prepare for the next exam? And how can I help you to master the material better? Okay, so exam wrapper is 5 points. Okay, and you're gonna submit those in Blackboard. So Blackboard, you click self-assessment, and then you see this is practice exam 1. You can still submit that. And exam 1 correction and record is due October 10th. Okay, so if you have mistake, write down the correction next to it. Okay, then you know what is the correct way to solve those kind of problems. And okay, so this file, okay, you see exam 1 common mistakes. First of all, can I have your permission to print screen the mistake? Of course, I don't print screen your name. Can I just print screen your mistakes? Can I have your permission to do that? Yes, so we can learn from our mistakes. Okay, so let's learn from it. Don't be afraid of mistakes. They are our friends and teachers. They help us improve. Okay? What you don't want is not making mistake. Is what you don't want is you don't want to make the same mistake again and again and again. Right? Just make the mistake for one time. It's okay. Let's learn from it. Okay? And improve. All right. Let's see. Okay. So the first problem. I realized many of you get confused with parentheses notation. Okay? Points. Are you able to see these? Okay, good. All right. So points. Let's say this point is -1, 3. This is the x coordinate. This is the y coordinate. So for the first number is the x value. The second number is the y value. But for interval, what does that mean? Interval, both numbers are x values. So parentheses means we do not include the endpoints. Questions? Oh. Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe it's harder to read here. Okay. Right, so sorry if it's harder to read, but this is on our website, okay? And so both of them are x values. You mean the x's between -1 and 3 and not include the endpoints. Okay. And open circle. Open circle means that point is missing. The endpoint is missing. Solid circle means solid circle means it has the endpoint. Okay? That's why here for the x values, domain you put it down on the x-axis. That's why we have -2 to 2. This point is missing. So 2 is not in the domain. So this is correct. Okay. The range. Range is the y value. So you project down on the y-axis. And then, yeah, we know this number is the smallest. Okay? But when you answer the range, they're asking you the y value. It's not the x values. So this point corresponds to y value is 0, not 2. Okay? So problem 1, so try not to get confused with the point in the interval and the x values and y values. So be careful with that. And here. Okay, so many of you make this mistake. Some of you just answer is increasing on that point. Yeah, it's increasing after that point, but you don't answer the point, you answer the x interval. That's why it's from -1 to 0, not -1, 3. Okay, I know what you mean. You want to say increase after this point, but you answer the interval. You don't answer the point. Okay? So that's why this is wrong. Yeah, increasing after this point, but you say 2 to infinity. You don't answer the point to 0. Okay, so don't get confused with points and interval. Okay, and second problem. See, some of you put x squared. This is a graph of the reciprocal, 1 over x. And some of you put the line, some of you put the absolute value. So some points was off. Okay? If you don't remember the shape, plus some points. Okay, so plus some points. What are the points? Square root of x. You plug in 0. Square root of 0 is 0. And then you plug in 1. Square root of 1 is 1. And then you don't plug in square root of 2 and square root of 3 because they are not integers. Do you agree? So you plug in the next number is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So we plug integer points. And then 0, 0 right here, 1, 1 here, 4, 2 right here. And those are the 3 key points. So you draw the line to connect them. Okay, everybody? Yes? So, right, that's problem 2. And many of you get confused with reflection over the y-axis or the x-axis. If you see a minus sign in front of x, that's refraction over the y-axis. Because your y value is the same, your x, you flip it, right? And then if you see a minus sign in front of the whole function, that's refraction over the x-axis. Because your x value is the same, the y becomes negative y, so you flip the y. Can you imagine, everybody? So be careful with that. So I hope you can have a mistake book to write down all the mistakes you make. Then before the exam, you can review the mistake book and try to remind yourself, don't make the same errors again. Okay, so problem 3. What do we need is we want to solve for y. Okay, so you solve for y, don't solve for x, solve for y. So you can get points of form. Sorry, you get slope-intercept form, then you can figure out the slope. And if two lines are parallel, they have the same slope. If two lines are perpendicular, the slope is opposite reciprocal. And then you write down the Poinsot form. See, Poinsot form, don't put this number here. So these are the common mistakes. Okay. All right. Next one. Compensation, not multiplication. So, yeah, that's why if you multiply them, then it's all wrong. So, I would say most of the mistakes, if you do the practice exam, you realize those mistakes, and then you won't make this mistake again on the actual exam. So I hope all of you do the practice exam multiple times from now on. Then you can see your mistake. If you don't understand, ask me, okay? Ask me. Or email me. We can schedule a virtual meeting in the evening. Yes. Okay, and this problem. Right, many of you, how do we solve quadratic equation? Move all the terms to the left-hand side. Okay, and then either factor it or use the quadratic formula. Okay, and if the discriminant is negative, no real solution. Discriminant is positive, 2 real solutions. Discriminant is 0, 1 real solution. Okay, everybody? So we need to move all the terms to one-hand side. Okay, and then another typical mistake is, so how do you break it? On your left, you kind of just ignore the absolute value. On your right-hand side, you put minus, parentheses, and whatever inside the absolute value. So that's why you replace absolute value of x plus 7 by negative parentheses x plus 7. Don't use x minus 7. Is that clear, everybody? Yes? The second half, replace the absolute value by negative parentheses of those. Okay? Don't just change the sign of the constant inside the absolute value. Okay. And here, be careful. How do you add fractions? Don't just add the numerator and then use it to divide it by the addition of the denominator. Be careful. We add fractions. We don't just add the numerator and add the denominator and divide it by it. We use the least common denominator. Alright? For example, here, the common denominator is b times d. That's why the first fraction multiplied by d on the numerator and denominator. This one we multiply by b. So we have a common denominator. Then we can add it. Oh, my mistake. This should be plus. Okay, everybody? Yeah. And here, the mistake is the student kind of do 1 minus that. Okay, so 1 over x minus 2 is not negative of x minus 2. So be careful. 1 over x is not negative x. Okay, we cannot do that. For example, 1/2 is not negative 2. It's actually 2 to the negative 1. So 1 over x It's x to the -1. The -1 is the exponent, not the coefficient. I know some of you might confuse with some knowledge that you learned before, okay? So that's why a mistake book will help us. So write down your mistake and write down, okay, what is wrong, and write down what's the correction. We learn from our mistakes. Okay. And the next one. Right, here, the student is canceling x plus 2 and x minus 2. I would say this is might be student confused with the conjugate. The conjugate, you only do the conjugate for complex numbers. Okay, this one, we don't do that. You find the least common denominator, okay? And here, do not write the cross for multiplication. That will make, that's why the student get confused and thought there's another x and there's another 3x. Don't do that. Use dots or parentheses to denote multiplication. Don't use cross because it looks like an x. So don't do that. Okay, how about this one? When you break it, okay, it's either greater or equal to that number or less than equal to negative of that number. This mistake, we should divide, not subtract 5. Both sides divided by 5. Do not subtract. Okay? So this is actually a common mistake. And this notation is wrong. Do you see? So you either say x less than or equal to -21 over 15, or x is greater or equal to 1 over 15. But you cannot do that. Imagine, this is a negative number. This is a positive number. Is a negative number bigger than a positive number? No. So even though I understand what you mean, okay, but this notation is wrong. Okay, everybody, be careful. Yes, see? Some of you make the same mistake, right? Okay. Here, this is 25 minus 9 squared. I squared is -1, so it becomes 25 plus 9. So that is 34 instead of 16. Okay? And then next one. Quadratic formula. Okay? Some of you get a quadratic formula, right? But don't forget the minus. Okay? Minus 4ac, but the c is -3. That's why you miss the negative. It will make this positive. Right. Okay, and this mistake. Okay, so we have a quadratic equation. And this is sum or difference. We cannot set each term equal to 0. Okay? If we have a product equal to 0, we can set each factor equal to 0. But if we have a sum or difference, we cannot set each term equal to 0. Okay, everybody? Be careful. Okay. Yes. And then here, k is f of h. H is 3, so plug in 3 here. And this student, you already get the h, you already get the k. So what's the vertex? What's the x's? Yeah, and the parabola like a U shape. Okay, you already get the h and k, so put them together. That's the vertex. Okay, and okay, here. So -7. This is -5 squared. But we cannot combine the -7 and the -5 because of the square. Okay, everybody? So a to the n times b to the n is a times b, parentheses to the n. So we can only combine them if they have the same exponent. Yeah, everybody? So here, if we have -7 squared times -5 squared, that's 35 squared. But here, -7, we don't have a square. So we cannot combine them. You have to make sure they have the same exponents. then we can combine. Okay, so be careful. Here, the y, this is -2 squared. That's why negative square becomes positive. Yeah. See? Negative 7 to the 7. Negative 2 to the 7. Yeah, that's why this is positive. X-intercept and y-intercept, they are points. Okay, leading coefficient. So we did this example in the quiz, right, everybody? So if you look at the quiz solution and review the quiz mistake carefully, hopefully you won't have the same error again. Right? Leading coefficient is -7 and the coefficient of x weighs to the corresponding exponents. Right, everybody? Remember that. That's why many mistakes you already made it before. So I hope you can write those down on your mistake book. And then remind yourself, don't make it again. Learn from our mistakes. Okay. Here, yeah, Mr. -7, and so the leading coefficient is negative. So start with the right lower corner. Okay, so this mistake, I saw this mistake again in the quiz. Okay, so that's why in your quiz mistake, you review them carefully. So we place x by 0 in the expression. That means all the x in the expression we place by 0. So you cannot plug in, oh, this x is 5, this x is -1/2, this x is 2/3. We cannot plug in different values of x at the same time. Okay? So it's like this is x. And this is like you. You can be only one person. You cannot be multiple person. Right? So x, just replace x by one number. You cannot plug in different numbers. Okay? Yeah, so be careful. And then here, y-intercept. Plug in x is 0. Okay? The y-intercept, y-intercept, yeah, plug in x is 0. X-intercept, plug in y equal to 0. So this is f of 0. And yeah, write down what is the leading coefficient? Write it down. Okay, so yeah, in the quiz, I remind you, it's not enough to just say the leading coefficient is positive or negative. You need to write it down. What is the leading coefficient? You might not need to multiply out the numbers, but you need to write it down. Okay, everybody? So I hope you know my requirements, and then you can like answer the questions, right? And here the mistake is y-intercept. Multiply, not add. See? Multiply, not add. This is multiplication. Do not add them. Okay. And this is the last problem. Yeah, this is open circle. That's why the -1/5 is not included. We have to put the interval. And we want to factor it. Do not multiply them out. Okay? We want the factor form. And then we set each factor equal to 0 to find the critical numbers. We don't want to distribute or multiply out or expand it. We don't want that. We want the factor form. Okay, see? We want the factor form. So if you do the practice exam, you know, okay, what do we want? What do we want to do here? We want the factor form. So don't expand it. Okay, and yeah, this one. 4/9 and 3/2. Which one is bigger? 3/2 is bigger. You have your calculator, right? So in the exam, you can plug this in your calculator. You see, oh, this is less than 1. And this is bigger than 1. So this is on the right-hand side of that number. Yes. Okay, and these are, yeah, this mistake are similar. Okay, so those are our mistakes. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. We learn from it. Okay? It's okay to make mistakes. But I hope you will study hard, make a book, mistake book, write down the mistakes, and then write down the correct solution. So from now on, you can know what's the correct way to solve it. an A in this course? The answer is yes. Because you can use the final exam score to replace the lowest midterm exam score. And I hope this is the lowest for you. Okay? So from now on, you get higher scores so that you can, yes, you can still get an A. And please do your homework. And the practice exam, if you didn't submit that, still submit that. Exam correction and wrapper. Okay, so a lot of talking now. All right, let's keep going. We are also behind schedule. Okay. I know our course we learn a lot. Imagine high school, you learn 1 year of algebra, 1 year of trig, but us, just 4 credit hours. And sometimes you come in late, and sometimes you might need to leave early. So that's why we have so many objectives to cover. And so I try to provide a lot of resources. And so I need your help. Okay, watch the recording, do those exercises, and ask me questions. Okay, last time, rational zero theorem. We check the factors of the constant term, and then we check the factors of the leading coefficients, and then the possible roots are the factors of the constant term divided by the factors of the leading coefficients. Do you remember that, everybody? And so we get list of rational numbers. Okay? Some of them might be the roots. Some of them might not be the roots. So we plug in the polynomial and see whether it equals to 0. If it equals to 0, then we know it is a root. Right? Okay. Last time we also did this example. Right? We find the roots. Then we know 2 is a root, x minus 2 is a factor. So P of x is x minus 2 times a quadratic factor. And we can find the quadratic factor by either long division or synthetic division. Do you remember that, everybody? So I hope all of you can take notes. So even though you're not taking notes right now, please at home, watch the recording or the notes with answers to figure out the notes. Okay? I really care about you and I want to help you. I can tell you all of my other math courses like higher level math classes like calculus, etc. Everybody in the course take notes. Okay? So yeah, that's why I give you the worksheet. You don't have to take notes for all the stuff. Just write down the solution of the examples. It can save you some time. Okay. And last time we were doing example 5, right? Okay. All right. So, yeah, we find 2 roots. Okay, so we find those 2 roots. Okay, so I don't have enough space. Let me make it bigger. Okay. So now what do we need to do? So we have P of x. So because x equals to -2 is a root, so x plus 2 is a factor. Is that okay, everybody? You flip the sign of it. So -2 corresponds to the factor x plus 2. How about this one? We get, what's the factor? -5. Right, everybody? So we will get P of x equals x plus 2 times x minus 5 times something. Okay, so how to figure out this something? One way is to figure out, okay, what is this guy? So this guy, let's distribute it. So x times x, x squared. X times -5, -5x. And then plus 2 times x, so 2x. And then plus 2 times -5 is -10. Right? We expand, multiply multiply these two factors out, we get x squared minus 3x minus 10 and times something. Okay, now to find this something, we can use long division. So this problem, you either use synthetic division twice, okay? You find one factor and then you use synthetic division once the first time, you get a degree 3 factor here. And then you use synthetic division second time, divided by this guy, you get a quadratic factor. So, or like me, I'm multiplying this out. Then I just use the long division one time. Okay, so long division. X to the 4 minus 5x cubed minus 5x squared plus 23x plus 10 divided by x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, what multiply by x squared to get x to the 4th? X squared. Okay, x squared times x squared, x to the 4th. X squared times negative 3x, we get, yeah, negative 3x cubed. And times negative 10, negative 10x squared. Right, everybody? Yes? Okay, use the first line to subtract the second line. X to the 4th cancel. Negative 5x cubed minus negative become positive. So negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2x cubed. Right? Yeah. And then negative 5x squared minus negative become plus 10. We get what? Plus 5x squared. And then we still have 23x and the 10. So far, so good, everybody? Okay. And what multiply by x squared to get negative 2x cubed? To x. Right, everybody? So we multiply that, negative 2x cubed. Multiply that, what? Positive 6x squared. And multiply by that, we get positive, is it 20x? Yep. Okay, first line subtract the second line. 5x squared minus 6x squared. Yeah, negative x squared. 23x minus 20x. 3x. Ooh, do you see this is negative of the divisor? So we can put negative 1. So negative 1 times the divisor, we flip all the terms. So negative x squared plus 3x plus 10. Do you see the remainder is 0? Yes, everybody? That's always the case because they are the factor. So the remainder should be 0. So therefore, okay, we can rewrite, so we can rewrite P of x is x plus 2, x minus 5, and now the remaining quadratic factor is, put it down, x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay? And then you think about, oh, can we factor it? No, right? Negative 1 factors is 1 and negative 1. It won't give you negative 2 here. That's why if you cannot factor it, use quadratic formula. So quadratic formula. X equals 2a. A is 1. Negative b is 2 plus or minus b squared. 4 minus 4ac. Do you see c is negative 1? So the negative become positive. So 2 plus or minus square root of 4 plus 4 is 8. Oh, 8 is what? 2 root 2. Because 8 is 4 times 2, right? Square root of 2 is square root of 2, but square root of 4 is 2. So 2 root 2 divided by 2. Now you can see 2 divided by 2 is 1 plus or minus square root of 2. So the zeros are, okay, here we have negative 2 and 5. And here we have 1 plus or minus square root of 2. So this is a degree 4 polynomial. And it has 4 zeros. Okay? So it has 4 zeros. And in this case, all multiplicity 1. Okay? So this multiplicity, the exponent of the corresponding factor. They're almost multiplicity 1. So far, so good, everybody? Okay. So this is degree 4 polynomial. So if we have degree 3 polynomial, we use the rational zero theorem to find one root. Then we can use synthetic division or long division to find the remaining quadratic factor. And then degree 4 polynomial, we will use the rational zero theorem to find how many roots? 2. Then we can use the long division to find the remaining quadratic factors. Okay. All right. So this practice, I will leave it as an exercise. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Because today we're supposed to talk about 3.7, and behind schedule, we don't even start 3.7. So I hope right now I can go over the notes with answers. Okay? So yes. So here are the notes with answers. They're on our website. Okay, we have the fundamental theorem of algebra. Every polynomial with complex coefficients has at least one complex zero. Complete factorization theorem. Every polynomial can be factored completely into linear factors like these. Okay, so here these are the complex numbers. So complex numbers we can decompose it as a product of linear factors. Complete zero occurs in conjugate pairs. So let F be polynomial functions that has real coefficients. If a plus bi is a 0, then its conjugate a minus bi is also a 0 for the function. So the complex roots always appear as conjugate pairs. Okay, everybody? So if 3 plus 4i is a root, can you tell me another root? What's the conjugate of 3 plus 4i? 3 minus 4i, exactly. Okay. So this problem, factor completely and find the zeros. So like what we did before, factors of the constant term, which is negative 3. So factors of negative 3 are, my suggestion, because we don't have enough time, let's just focus on understanding it. The notes, you can take it after class, okay? So, constant term, negative 3. That's why factors plus or minus 1 plus or minus 3. Leading coefficient, 1. So factors plus or minus 1. That's why positive roots are plus or minus 1 divided by plus or minus 1, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 3 divided by plus or minus 1 is plus or minus 3. And then for each number in the list, you can plug in the polynomial and you see whether that equals to 0. You plug in 1, it's non-zero. You plug in minus 1, it's non-zero. And you plug in 3. Do you see it is a 0? Then you can use synthetic division. And this guy, see, this is the remainder. It's always 0. This is the constant term. This is the coefficient of x. This is the coefficient of x squared. That's why we get x squared plus 1. Yeah, everybody? And now, this guy, you can solve for x. You will get x is plus or minus I. So the process are similar, but just now you allow your roots to be complex numbers. And this is another example. Okay? You see x plus 2 is a root. You use synthetic division, and you get x squared minus 2x plus 2. Okay? Now, use the quadratic formula. Then you can get the 2 complex roots. Is that okay, everybody? The process are similar. You just allow your roots to be complex numbers. And this one. Find a 4th-degree polynomial function with real coefficient that has zeros. -2, 3, and 4 minus I. Degree 4 polynomial usually have 4 roots, right? So even the problem only tell you 3 roots, but you know the conjugate will be another root. Yes, everybody? So it has the root form plus I. Therefore, P of x is, see, -2 is a root, then the factor is x plus 2. 3 is a root, the factor is x minus 3. 4 minus I is a root, the factor is x minus parentheses 4 minus I. Yeah? And 4 plus I is a root, so x minus parentheses 4 plus I is a factor. And then distribute the negative, so -4 plus I, this is -4 minus I, and then you want to expand it. Okay, expand it. So here you can expand it, but for complex numbers, you do it one by one. So x times x is x squared, x times -4x, x times -ix, and then -4 times x, -4x, -4 times -4, positive 16, -4 times -I, positive 4i, yeah? And then I times x, ix, I times -4, -4i, I times -I, -I squared. You will see all the terms with I get canceled. You end up getting a factor with real coefficients. And then you can expand it, so multiply them out, then combine those as a degree polynomial you can get. So this is the opposite direction. It gives you the roots and asks you to find the polynomial. Is that okay, everybody? Yeah, and this one. So given 1 plus 3i is a 0, then you can, now the other 0 is 1 minus 3i. Therefore, a factor must be this guy times this guy. You get this factor. Then you can use the long division to figure out the remaining quadratic factor. Then you can factor it and find the other zeros. So these are other type of problems. Sorry, we don't have much time. But if you come to my office hours, we don't have the time limit. I'm happy to explain to you with a short video. Okay, so come to see me more often. Here are the exam wrappers.